Hello, it's Jen with Woodcraft Blueprints. Hope you're having a good Monday afternoon so far. I am getting ready to put a clear coat on these cedar boards, and it's one of those boring little jobs. So I decided I'm going to just go live and talk about something, because I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that something is starting tomorrow that can help a lot of people. And I can kind of want to do a little story time and tell you, my Etsy story, how it came to be, and how I got here, I guess. So, if you are new here, I'm Jen with Woodcraft Blueprints, and I have a membership, but I also have been running a separate program called the Etsy Launchpad, and it starts tomorrow. I have another cohort of it starting tomorrow. And basically, what a live cohort is versus a standalone or evergreen course is that we go through it together as a group. It's live, meaning I'm there with you the whole time, okay? And the reason I do it like this, it's a lot more work on my part, because obviously I could record something once and just never do it again. But I do it live, so I can talk with people more, help answer their questions better. And the number one thing is accountability, okay? So a few things. I'm gonna tell you an Etsy secret in a little bit that pretty much applies to any successful shop, okay? And most people don't realize this. And I think a lot of people get stuck thinking they have to have like everything figured out before they do something, which in fact, you'll never have anything figured out. Anytime I've started something, or done something like a business venture or something like that, you just kind of fumble as you go, Well, hello there, everybody is saying hi. Thank you for joining me. So I also kind of wanted to tell you my story too, because some people don't know it. Some people do, and some people do not. Get this board over here. But I learned woodworking like 20 years ago. There was a custom stair shop down the road from me, and they made really nice stairs that went in really nice homes. And I actually started sweeping the floor. It was after school, I swept up sawdust and burned it. And I did that for maybe a year or something, I don't know. But anyway, I guess they had a guy quit there, and the owner's like, hey, do you want, which by the way, at this point, I wasn't just sweeping, they had me cutting some things out on the bandsaw. And they had me cutting up or chopping up some boards a little bit here and there, but nothing much, nothing major. Anyway, I had a guy leave, and the owner's like, hey, would you be interested in a full-time job? And I happened to be in between college, and I was like, because I just got done with 2 years at community college, I wasn't totally sure of my next move. I was like, yeah, sure, I could try. I don't know, much. So they hired me, and I started the next week, and I just gradually got taught how to use, the miter saw, the table saw, the planer, the sander. Everything was very large industrial size equipment, so it was very intimidating. And I had not grown up, or had my dad didn't have like a little wood shop. He had some tools and he was really good as far as DIY and things like that, but not like woodworking, So anyway, it was all pretty much new to me, but I did learn it, worked there a few years, loved it. Then in 2009, the housing market crashed, and no new homes were being built. So the stair shop ended up closing the doors because there just wasn't enough business, unfortunately. So I went, and actually I didn't even look at any other jobs. I knew that originally my plan was go to a 4-year college, so I went, back to school, which was my original plan. Ended up going to school for agribusiness marketing, or not marketing, agribusiness, and graduated there. Got a full-time, oh hi Pam, I haven't seen you forever. And then I got a full-time job as a marketing assistant at an ad company. And I worked there for 10 years. But I worked there for, I don't know, I want to say like 8 years or something, 7 or 8. And then I had my firstborn son. And I loved my job before that. But then after I had children, I was like, I don't really love my job anymore because I didn't like having to work like, 40 hours a week. And then it usually mean a little bit more. And by the time you drop your kid off and pick him up, like he was at daycare all the time. And I just didn't really like that. Like it just didn't feel good to me. I was like, I want something part-time. I can spend more time with him or just something different. You know what I mean? Like I was just miserable. I was getting home late at night and just like we didn't have quality time, all of those things. And I've always done, ever since I left that stair shop, did woodworking as like a little fun hobby, nothing serious. We usually had a scroll saw and a bandsaw. I was doing something, and I was doing craft shows. There was they called it a junk show. I flipped furniture and made little things, like woodworking things. But I think a lot of it was just really like one-off things, like recreating something, I don't know, like crazy, and then taking this furniture and making it into this. Like I didn't just paint furniture. I just like, I don't know, I got like a lot of stuff ready for the dumpster. It would turn it, you know what I mean? Like would add stuff or turn it into something different. But anyway, loved it. Although that business model is not really scalable, but it is a fun creative outlet, and it's served me. That's what I wanted. But then when Levi was like 3, I was like, I've had enough. I was like, I've got to find a different job, like something, I don't know, like I've got to work for myself. And honestly, my whole career, this whole time leading up to this, it's like I really was an entrepreneur trapped in like a marketing assistant's body. You know what I mean? Like I never felt like I was a really great employee. Like I always felt like I was much better as my own boss. So I was like, okay. I mean, I had had enough. Like it was up to here. I was like, I gotta find something different. So I decided, I was like, I will somehow turn woodworking into my income. And that's all I knew at that point. So I was continuing to do shows, having fun, but I did know that I couldn't scale that. Like it wouldn't be enough income. It was fun money, it was side money, but it wasn't a large enough income for me to live off of, So, and I did have to make money. It's just staying home, being a stay-at-home mom wasn't an option. I did need to make money. So, there's that. Get this board over here. Jenna, I'm putting a clear coat on actually. Getting ready to assemble a project, and I can't tell you what it is yet. I'm just getting the clear coat on because it's easier to do it now. So I had opened an Etsy shop. I think it was 2012 was the year when it kind of first came out. It was like brand new, and I had sold some random things. Like I would take like a board or something and like sell it as a blank sign. Like I didn't have a stencil maker or anything like that at that point. So just like random stuff I sold here and there. And one thing I put on there was a cupcake stand because I made it for my wedding. And I'm pretty sure the original one that I had made it from, I saw on Pinterest. Very likely it could have been another Etsy listing, now that I think about it. But anyway, so I made something like the size that I wanted, and we used it as a cupcake stand in my wedding. And I also sold, it was just literally just 3 boxes is all it was. And I also sold a cake stand. Actually, do I have one? Hold on. This is one of them. I actually use it as a storage box now, but this is a cake stand. And this is not one of the ones I sold a lot of, but you get the gist. It's literally just a box, okay? And this one's really old because I can tell that I made it with pallet wood. So these two middle pieces, those look like oak. Maybe this one, I'm not sure. This piece is pine, but you see how it's that real rustic look? This is exactly what I made, okay? Those started getting traction. Like I started getting a few sales of those. And no big deal, you know, whatever. I still just, at that point, you know, I had some sales here and there. But then that night I decided I was like, I need to make more income from woodworking. That's when I looked at the Etsy, my sales data, and decided I'm selling these, so why don't I sell more of these? Like, people like them. There's something that people like. So I leaned into that. And from that cake stand, I created variations, different stains, and different sizes, okay? Let me get this end grain here. And then from those variations, I had custom orders open as an option. I had a lot of people messaging me and asking like, hey, can I get, you know, this is the theme of the wedding, or can I get this size or that, you know what I mean? And so I was just really working with customers, you know what I mean? I was like, heck yeah, I'll do that, whatever you want, you know? So I did, oops, I forgot to get this off of here. I'll get that later. So then my shop started picking up steam, you know what I mean? And my first, I can't remember the months, like exactly the sales data. I can go back and look because I still have that dashboard access. But I just grew, you know what I mean? It was like from $100 a month, then it was $500 a month. And then after a few months, it was $1,000 a month. And I remember just being like, this is crazy. This is totally nuts. And I actually went to I set up at another show. It was a spring show. And my cake stands were selling very good on Etsy at that time. Not blowed up like they did, but very well. So I set up a little section, I guess you could call it, in a booth as a 10 by 20. And I had like, I put it like rustic wedding decor, and it made it all pretty, and it had cake stands. I was like, you know, there'll be some brides here. Surely I'll sell a few or get a lot of interest, pass out business cards. Well, it turns out I sold one out of the 2 day, out of that weekend. And this is a good show. Like, I pretty much sold everything else out of my booth. But the one thing that, I'm getting a call. I need to silence that. The one thing that didn't sell was my cake stands. Let's just trying to reconnect. Okay, hopefully I'm still on there. One thing, this is a story I've told before, but a lady brought up a cake stand to buy it, and I was like, oh, do you have a party coming up? Or she goes, no, actually, she goes, this would be a really good organizer for my dog toys, is what she said. And I was just like, oh my gosh, okay. So, yeah. That moment made me realize that weekend the power of online shopping. So, online versus local shopping. Local shopping, you get a few thousand people, or maybe even a few hundred. But online, you have access to millions of people. And I never shipped internationally. I just did US because it costs too much to ship large boxes. Although I did some to Puerto Rico and Hawaii. But anyway, So that made me realize, like, wow, that's just crazy. You know what I mean? Like, just the power of online shopping. Plus, I also now know that online shoppers, usually when they come across your listings, they've already been looking, they searched for you. Whether as a show, you kind of pop up. They're like, oh, okay, let me think about this. You know what I mean? Like, but online, if someone's searching for something and then they find it, they're way more ready to have their wallet. Like, their wallet's practically already out. Like, they're already going to buy something. So you just need to get in front of them. And over time, my Etsy shop grew. And then I was doing $5,000 a month. And I thought that was insane, you know? And I was doing this weekends and evenings. After I put Levi to bed, I would go up to my wood shop. And I did paint parties too. And in the wintertime, it was really hard because my barn didn't even have heat. I just had a little propane heater, like a heater head. I would turn it on, go back in the house, and then come back out later and work. And yeah, there were some late nights. But I knew I didn't want to sacrifice time with my family, you know. Even though I still had to with paint parties, I'm not gonna lie. But still, I knew I was working for a better purpose, a greater purpose, eventually. You know what I mean? That was a season. It was a season of hustle. And my Etsy shop just kept growing. I kept leaning into this rustic wedding decor. I kept inventing new things, and you know what I mean? And like, really, if you think about it, I wasn't an expert at a wedding designer or a wedding planner, anything like that. I just kept leaning into what was working. Some things didn't work. Some things worked really well. So I just kept going into that. And that's what most top shops, they have, it's 80-20. 80% of their sales come from 20% of their products. Usually people have 1 to 2 best sellers, and then they'll have a third, fourth, and a fifth, okay? And most all of their revenue comes from those listings. And you're not gonna know that overnight. It takes time. It takes a lot of time, actually, to really get that dialed in. But the more you can put out there and the more data you can get, the better you can be, the more efficient you can be. And this, I'm not talking with this just Etsy, that's with really anything. But yeah, Etsy is what allowed me to quit that full-time job finally, and then I just did that. I was doing $10,000 months consistently, and that was enough to replace my income. My profit margin, yeah, $10,000 in revenue, not profit, revenue. But that profit was paying my salary. And that's what allowed me to finally leave my job, which was a huge pivotal moment in my life because everybody thought I was crazy because I had a really good job. I was making, you know, over $50,000 a year. I had full benefits, paid vacation, blah, 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 you know, all that sort of pension plan. So it's literally golden handcuffs because it's good enough to keep you there. But I don't know, I just knew in my heart that I wanted something different, basically. I just went with my gut, I went with my heart. And then, so I was just working by myself for a while, and then I ended up hiring help because I just kept growing and growing and growing. And that, I wasn't growing by accident, I was like trying, you know, I was going for it. I was going big, go big or go home, that's usually how I do it. So I had people help me ship, and had helped me, a high school girl stayed. She stayed. I was in the shop building, I sit on a bench, she stained it, she put on the drying rack, and then Bailey would get there after school, and she would take it, and then she was the packaging, she did all the shipping, because I really do not like shipping. It gets really boring. But anyway, and that was my system for a long time. And then, of course, another, you know, being an entrepreneur, something else hit. I was like, man, you know, because I was making boxes. I was able to, I mean, my life totally changed for the better. it was just so much fun. I'm like, I could like teach other people how to do this. I mean, really, you know, why not? And that's how I got the idea for the membership. So then I launched my membership, and that was in 2021. And then I was doing both. And then I started getting into a really another busy season, like the Etsy, I mean, you know, making everything yourself, that takes a lot of time. That's a lot of labor. And then the membership started growing. And it's still growing. But I mean, not an accident, definitely on purpose. Like, I spend a lot of money to let it grow. So yeah, and then my Etsy shop, I noticed because you can turn it on vacation mode, and I kept turning it on vacation mode so I could focus on content, making videos for the membership. And it finally got to one point, I was like, you know, and I had 2 kids at this point, a baby, another second, and she was a baby, and I was like, this is like way too much. I gotta decide what I wanna do. And so I decided to just go all in on the membership, okay? So that's what I do now. But had it not been for Etsy, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. You know what I mean? That Etsy shop was my gateway. And I have noticed this on so many other entrepreneurs, that Etsy is like a gateway to other entrepreneurial things for anybody. Any creative person, I've noticed this. So just putting that out there. If you're not sure where to start, just start an Etsy store, because as soon as you start putting stuff out there, you're gonna figure it out. You're gonna figure out what you like, what you don't like, what's selling, what's not selling. I mean, it just all starts making sense, okay? And then, however you set up your Etsy shop and whatever your big dreams are, it's not gonna happen like that, because your sales data, your customers are the ones who tell you what you're gonna make. Your sales data tells you what you're gonna make next, okay? It's not all about what you wanna make, it's what your customers want. If you wanna make money, that's just how it works, okay? You can stay stuck and just make what you want, but if you really want your shop to grow, you lean into that customer feedback, that data, see what they're asking. Keep that custom order option on. And whatever people are asking you, that might be your next variation, you know? So yeah, that was a story time. Wanted to tell you my story. Some people know it, some people really don't. So, but yeah, so tomorrow, my next live cohort of the Etsy Launchpad is starting tomorrow, the first training. And you don't have to, like, anybody can join at any time, but why not join when we all start together, okay? This is the very first, it's a live training. They're all live trainings, Zoom, so I can see your faces. You can get to ask questions in real time. And there's also Q&As mixed in. So you can ask for a listing audit, a shop audit. Just say, hey, take a look at my shop. You know, am I missing something or what? But I have very specific trainings, because you don't want too much information. I have bought courses in the past. Like, I bought a YouTube course last year, a program. I'm gonna take these gloves off. And that's a well-known YouTube guy. A very, very, very well-known YouTube guy. If you comment the word launch, if you're on Facebook and comment the word launch, my autoresponder will send you a link for more information for the Etsy Launchpad program. But I bought a course, and they're like, everything you need to grow your YouTube channel, blah, blah, blah. You know how that goes. I got in there, and there's like hundreds of video trainings, and they're all an hour to an hour and a half long. I drove from Illinois to Atlanta. It was like an 8-hour drive. I got through like 4 or 5 lessons. I was like, what the bleepity bleep? I'm sorry, but I don't like, you know what I mean? Like, it was so much information. I'm like, just cut to the chase. I'm a cut to the chase person. You know what I mean? Tell me what I need. I just need a little bit of this and then I can go take action. I don't need the world's biggest overview of everything. And maybe some people learn like that, don't get me wrong, but who really has the time for that? So needless to say, I never even finished any of it because I was like, I'm just wasting my time. Like, 'cause a lot of his recordings were pre-recorded, they're recorded off of a live. So in a live, like, he was almost like too chatty type of a thing. Rather it's pre-recorded, he'd probably get to the chase a little bit more. I don't know. And I don't want to I'm not saying his name because I don't want to badmouth him because he's a nice guy. But whatever, if you ever do take a course or anything in the future from anybody, you need to ask them, like, how many hours are there? Because if they tell you there's 500 hours of trainings, ask yourself if you're going to watch them. Because 500 hours, let's see here, even if you, well, let's just say you would have to, I mean, it could take you a year to watch 500 hours. So, but then you would be losing out on a year of sales data. You'd be losing out on all that possible income that you could have got. You know what I mean? Because the more people, some people just sit there and learn all day and don't take action. You really need someone to help you take action, because it's the only way you're gonna get going. Like, the only way you just gotta take action. You know what I mean? And it's messy and it's sloppy, and sometimes you just don't know what you're doing. Okay, you just gotta put yourself out there and do it. But all that to say, you know, it's just like having someone or having a group to help you, like, you're all doing it together, you know what I mean, is really nice. Having accountability. Because if you do buy an evergreen course from someone, there's no live component. It's not fun, it's not exciting, you're all by yourself, there's no accountability, okay? The reason I designed my Etsy Launchpad program like I did is because I want you, like, and I give homework every week. Like, this is what we're gonna learn and this is what I want you to do, you know? And even if you have already started a shop, this would be a good one. If you started a shop and it's dead, this is a good way to go through it and revamp it and see what you are missing, okay? And I have very specific trainings on what you need. The first one, tomorrow, we start with your product line, picking your products, and your shop setup, okay? And then there's already a pre-recorded video in there, members have gone through it, of how, or I shouldn't say members, purchasers, of how to, like, the little technical things. So you can do that on your own. You have to put your bank account information in there. But we talk about the general setup of it, and also picking your product line. And I tell people, don't get too hung up on the product line. Just start throwing some stuff out there, because like I said, once you get going and you see your sales, things will start clicking and making sense. Oops, hold on me. Yes, please. Oops, here. Yes, please. Sorry. Somebody was texting me. Make sure I got back to them. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, just like the stuff that you need to get started. And that's why I call it the launch pad. I don't call it the, you know, optimize pad, because you need to launch before you can ever optimize. And once you do get to that stage, you are going to be, your business acumen is going to be so much better. You're probably, I mean, you're going to be, how should I say it? Your mindset is going to shift. Like, you're going to make better decisions. You're just going to know more, and you probably don't even need help, if that makes sense. Like, you grow as a business person is what I'm trying to say. I saw a little question here. He asked if I would love to watch your yeah, okay, so there's a 50K webinar that I put together, I did a couple weeks ago, And I talk about, it's my little roadmap of how, if I was starting over, wanted to make $50,000 in this year, how I would do that, like what sales channels I would do. And that's a free webinar. Anybody can watch it anytime. Now, if you are a member, this is separate. The Etsy program is separate from the woodworking membership, okay? And the reason I did that is I didn't want the membership to become an Etsy forum, okay? There's a lot of members that don't make things to sell. It's just for fun or a hobby or whatever. And there's so many different sales channels out there, and I do talk about all of them in the membership. But the Etsy one, I don't want people, like I just want people who are serious, basically. If the information was provided in the membership and it was free, people don't take it seriously. So that's why when you invest in something, you are putting you're trusting yourself. You are telling yourself that I am going to do this. If it was just given to you, probably wouldn't do that. So that's why it's different. And also too, it's only $347. Like you're going to make that back, some sooner than others. And I do say that this program will get you to your first $1,000, because your first $1,000 is going to get you to your $5,000, and then your $5,000 is going to be your $10,000, and then your $15,000, and then your $20,000. Okay, and then once you really start seeing all that sales data, you're going to, you just got to get that momentum. That first month is just really slow, you know, with any business really. But the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. And you just got to get that momentum going. And once that momentum is going, like it's really good. So, can you comment more on Etsy? Everyone online says Etsy is great, but everyone I talk to in person says you can't make any money because of fees. What am I missing? That's a great question. I actually, let me get a drink of water here. I hear that a lot. And yeah, there are fees. Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think. Let's just say 5% for easy math, okay? Would you pay $5 to make $100? Yes, I would. Would you pay $50 to make $1,000? So you can make $1,000 and pay $50, or you can just make $0. Like that, those are the choices. Yes, Etsy has some fees, but they're very minimal. And why is that? Because they have their own traffic. They put ads on Google. So when somebody goes to Google and types in rustic wedding, or wedding cake stand, or wood cake stand, my listing shows up on Google search because Etsy pays for it. Okay, so they're spending money to help their sellers, and that's why there's fees. And Etsy has their own built-in traffic too. People don't even Google stuff. If they want something handmade or custom or unique, they go to the Etsy website itself, and then they'll type in wood cake stand. Okay, because they know it's handmade, it's high quality, or if they were looking for something custom. The Etsy custom side is really big. If you can customize anything, huge selling potential on Etsy, and they make it so easy to sell. It's literally so easy to sell on Etsy. I just don't understand how a lot of people don't do it. And I guess too, like the fees may scare people, but it's like in 1 year, you know, I'll pay, you know, thousands of dollars every year in fees. 1 year was a lot, but I made a lot of money. So yeah, I would rather pay 50 and make 1,000 rather than just make 0, you know. It's just, you gotta spend money to make money. But the thing about Etsy too is in online shopping, your prices get to be more than they are locally because you're in front of more people. So I'm in a rural area, and a lot of people are. Our prices aren't as high as say you can get in a city. But when you're online, that's all evened out. You know what I mean? Everybody's in the same pool there. So you can get higher prices. So my fees are factored into my pricing. and it did not make my items like ridiculously expensive by any means, okay? So there's that. So but yeah, I just wanted to, you know, go live today and just encourage somebody that maybe thinks they can't do it or not sure. Like there's so many people that don't take a risk and just stay where they're at. So when I left my full-time job, like people were like, you are so crazy. Like that is, no. But now they're like, oh, okay, I get it, you know? But at the time, people didn't make sense. My husband still, like, he's not an entrepreneur whatsoever. He's still kind of like, you know, I don't know. It's, he likes to be safe, you know? And some people are like that, and that's fine. But with Etsy, though, there are ebbs and flows, but I would say the most part, it's pretty consistent income. Now, mine was seasonal decor. So in January, actually December and January were slow months for me. But then it would start to heat back up. Actually, I would probably say November was probably a slow month too. But people are Christmas shopping, not really focused on weddings. So, but I could pretty much rely on that income. Let's see here. Somebody said I made $2,700 last year. What content is there for shops that have sprouted but are still growing? Well, I would have to see. I would have to probably take a peek at your shop, honestly. Well, I mean, I don't have to. If you want to grow, you need to have optimized listings. And you have to have good photography, okay? So if you're getting a couple sales in, but you're like, this isn't enough. So for instance, $3,000 in 1 year is a pretty, dead shot, because that would be like $200 a month-ish, you know what I mean? So just a couple orders. What I would do is optimize all of my listings for SEO. And I would also improve photography. Usually photography is one of the big things, a big lever people don't utilize more of, okay? And that's why in my program I do have that photography training, because it is so important. SEO will get your listing pulled up, matching keywords. Your picture is what it gets them to click on that listing. And then your description, your price, your sales proposition, that is what closes the deal and gets people to purchase, okay? So all three of those things have to be working and optimized in order to get sales, okay? So if you go to your dashboard and see, are you getting views? And then you know, okay, I'm getting views or I'm not getting views. If I'm not getting views, I need to work on my SEO. If you are getting views, but your conversion rate is below 1%, then you need to work on that value proposition, meaning the description, the pricing, all of that, because they're looking at it but they're not buying it. So you would need to troubleshoot that, okay? So yeah, I would say there's lots of parts that could help a slow shop. That just are getting a few sales trickling in, okay? But also look at your sales data and see, is there one product that is selling more? Maybe I need to lean into that more. And that could be easily just adding different I'm in my staining area, different stain colors, you know, different sizes, different customizations, whatever that may be. Just leaning into what works really that's what really propels shops forward. So, okay. Well, if somebody has a question, you can drop it. I think I've just kind of said everything that was on my heart. Hi, Lori. But yeah, tomorrow we start that launch pad. I know if you're on the fence, I know it's going to help somebody. If you're somebody serious about taking it like to the next level, and that could be woodworking or crafting or whatever kind of handmade thing that you make. Etsy's an amazing place for this. They make it so easy because there are other platforms to sell on, but Etsy makes it so easy. I mean, really, there's buyer protection and seller protection in place, because there are, like on Amazon, if somebody is unhappy, like they just Amazon favors the buyer, okay? And in Etsy, they don't do that. They open a little case, and you know, they decide on both sides. And so that just really tells you that they're really there to help both parties. And if they weren't there for the seller, then they wouldn't grow. You know what I mean? So, okay guys, well, I'm gonna hop off here. Like I said, if you comment the word launch, my autoresponder will message you more information. Tomorrow, Tuesday, the February 10th, is our first live training. It's on Zoom. It's gonna be awesome. I'm really excited. We go for 8 weeks. There's homework every week to help you stay accountable and stay on track. So if that sounds good to you, let me know. Or if you have any more questions, try to drop them below if you're watching the replay. I will do my best to answer any questions that you have. And yeah, whatever you decide to do, I really do wish everybody, you know, all the best, because there's other ways to sell, but I do love Etsy. There's no doubt about that, because that is the gateway. That was the my, you know what I mean? Like, that is what allowed me to go full time. Rather selling locally, it just wasn't scalable. While Etsy is scalable. So, all right, guys, have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you later. Goodbye. Let's see here. How do I end this?